Hi, friends. Welcome to the Advent Devotional. I'm so glad that you have joined us today on our first week of Advent. As we start today, I want to share a fun story with you. When I was in college, one day I was walking across campus with a group of friends, and this woman, this middle-aged woman, stopped me and said, "Are you Susan McMichael's daughter?" And I said, "Yes." It kind of caught me off guard because I'd never seen this woman before. And McMichael was my mom's maiden name, and so most people didn't refer to her with her maiden name. But I said, "Yeah, that's my mom." And she goes, "That is so funny. I went to college with your mom. I haven't seen her since college, but when I saw you, I was like, Susan McMichael must have had a daughter, and that must be her." And I was like, "It's me, yeah." And she said, "You look so much like your mom, but your mannerisms are so much like your mom." And it's true. I am so similar to my mom. I mean, I've spent so much time with her that she has rubbed off on me as we have been in close relationship with each other. And I'm sure you probably have people like that in your life too, where you think about friends that you have the same lingo, or maybe you and your family members have similar facial expressions or responses. Maybe you enjoy the same TV shows and start quoting those with friends. I think we oftentimes end up imitating those that we spend a lot of time with, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. Well, as I think about that in light of God being with us. This first week of Advent, we're reminded of Emmanuel, which means God with us, that Jesus came down from heaven to be with us in flesh. And he's inviting us to then be with him. He's inviting us to be in this close relationship with him where he has given us life and love and freedom. And he's inviting us then to invest back with him. And I believe that as we do, he starts to rub off on us, that his characteristics, his heart for people, his kindness, his goodness, his faithfulness, his love, his love for truth, his love for people, all of those things begin to rub off on us. And we begin to take on his characteristics. But it doesn't happen on accident. It happens as we are with Jesus. I'm reading this book right now called Meant for Good by Megan Fate Marshman, and it's so good. I highly recommend it. But one of the parts she talks about is when she was in college, she and her friends decided that they wanted to take on a discipline of learning to really be with Jesus. And so they called this discipline Tuesdays with Jesus, and they would act as if Jesus was there with them in bodily form. They knew the promise that God was with them all the time, but they wanted to really be intentional about realizing his presence with them. So on Tuesdays in the morning in their dorm room, they'd wake up and say, "Hi, Jesus." They'd open the car door as they left so that he could get in the front seat, and they'd move everything off of their front seat, their books, electronics, all of that, so that Jesus had a spot to sit. They'd go to the coffee shop and order themselves a coffee and a coffee for Jesus. When they would go and connect with groups of friends, they acted as if Jesus were right there with them. And so they couldn't have just walked up and ignored Jesus. They had to invite their friends to know Jesus and introduce Jesus to their friends. And so the author, Megan, she writes that she ended up introducing people to Jesus for the very first time on Tuesdays with Jesus days. She also talks about how one of her friends had made up a bed on the floor for Jesus one Tuesday night, and she went to sleep. But then a couple hours later, she woke up and realized, no, I should be the one on the floor. Jesus should be in the comfy bed. So she got out of bed and she slept on the floor for the rest of the night. See, when they were doing this, when they were living this way and realizing that Jesus was really with them, it changed the way that they lived. It changed the way that they not only interacted with Jesus, but it changed the way they thought about and talked about themselves. It changed the way they interacted with the world because they lived like Jesus was with them. And they believed the reality and the promise that Jesus is with us. And so this Advent season, I believe that Jesus is with us. He has come to be with us. He's given us his Holy Spirit that lives inside of us. But then he's inviting us to be with him, to give him our attention, to live as if he's really with us because he is. But are we very aware of that in our interactions with our family when we are tired and exhausted and maybe fed up? Are we acting that way and living with the reality of Jesus with us when we get discouraged and we have negative self-talk? Are we really living in the reality that Jesus is with us? Because if we are, I believe that his characteristics will rub off on us. It makes me think of the verse Ephesians 5:1 that says, "Therefore be imitators of God as dearly loved children." And I love that the author of Ephesians, that he says, as dearly loved children. Because children, they don't try to sit and study like they're studying for an exam, trying to understand, okay, my mom just put her hand on her hip this way, or my mom responded to me in this way, and like writes it down all formally. No, it comes out of pure relationship. The kids start imitating because they're in relationship with their parents. Their parents rub off on their kids. And that is what God is inviting us to be in such a deep relationship with him that his characteristics rub off on us, so that we change the way we interact with God, we interact with ourselves, and we interact with the world. Let's let Jesus rub off on us this season. He has promised to be God with us, but let's be with him. Have a great week, my friends.